Hello, my name is Jim Anker. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to Career Expo 83. Career Expo 83 is being held at the Pontiac Silverdome. The careers and exhibit booths that are set up here occupy the whole floor of the Pontiac Silverdome. We're going to give you kind of a walk-around tour at some of the exhibits that are available. They give us an idea of some of the careers that are available to students today and tomorrow. We'll also give you a look at some of the equipment and courses of study that are available to students in Hazel Park schools today, as well as ones that will be available in the future. On the floor of the Silverdome, you can see some of the hundreds of exhibitors that have come to provide career information for students and adults that will be viewing today. As we take our walk around, we're going to begin our view with a stop at our own booth for Hazel Park schools.
I have a brain just like you do, but my brain is a computer. My owner programs my computer for me, and I always do as I'm programmed.
What you've heard here is one of our new additions to our electronics program. It's a Hero 1 robot. Here with me today, tell you a little bit about our Hero 1 is one of our adult education instructors in electronics, Ken Barnes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this Hero 1 robot, Ken, and what it does and how we're using it in the classroom?
Okay, well, this robot does just about everything you can imagine. It has everything built in, from a synthesized voice to a digital clock. About the only thing it won't do is do Windows.
Okay. How are we using it in the classroom? What kinds of things do the students use it for?
We are using it at the present time as specifically a teaching tool. It demonstrates different arm motions. We teach different anatomy. We show some elementary microprocessor design and some elementary electronics in the introductory course.
Okay, so the students actually be working on some of these boards that we see around here.
Yes, and they'd also be doing simple robot programs as well.
Okay, so they'd be programming through the keyboard
and also through the teach pennant, which plugs into the side of the robot.
Okay, perhaps we can take a look at that in a few minutes. Also on this table here, we have some other electronics equipment. You can see a variety of it here. I can step across here. I think we'll speak to our other instructor. This is Lauren Williams, another one of our adult education instructors. What can you tell us about some of this other equipment, Lauren?
Well, most of this equipment here, except for the trainer over there, is test equipment. The piece of equipment I have on my hand right now is the oscilloscope, and it's probably the most common piece of test equipment that we have, in that it is very useful in showing the peak-to-peak values of voltage and frequency in most all of your electronic components today. The little instrument in front of the oscilloscope is a capacitor checker, and this is a frequency generator here, and we have a transistor checker and a couple of our meters that we use throughout the course in training our students on how to do repair and different troubleshooting techniques in electronics.
Okay, so they use this equipment, say, to troubleshoot what's wrong with the robot, perhaps, or
robot, microprocessors, printers, disk drives, any electronic equipment this can be used to test.
Perhaps either one of you gentlemen could tell me what kind of jobs could a student who goes through this program expect to get when they get out of the program?
Electronic technician, repairing of business machines is another entry-level position that would be available to somebody trained in electronics. Some entry-level positions do exist with robotics. General Motors Hunak is one employer at the present time that is looking for people.
I know we have one robotics firm right within our own community on 9 Mile, Robotics Enterprises. I think we have some pictures up here of some of our students that have graduated from our programs that are working there now. I want to thank you both. Perhaps we can take a look at how the Hero 1 works in operation for just a couple minutes, Ken. All right, here we go. If he doesn't overrun our camera here, we'll be in great shape.
Back right up to you and stop. It's about 6 inches away.
That was good timing. Now we could have set different operations down in different places and had him go place to place and pick them up or move. So I understand that this robot also senses light
It senses
Detects distance.
light, sound, can detect distance to an accuracy of a quarter of an inch, and it will also have a lot of onboard functions that can be directly accessed. The digital clock is an example, as well as certain speech phrases that are already burned into its memory.
Okay. The next portion here we'd like to show you of the Hazel Park Schools exhibit that we brought with us today includes our computer center. And we brought a few of our computers up with us. We have computer classes that are available to our day school students as well as in our adult education, both afternoons and evenings. With me today we have another one of our adult education teachers. This is Malloy Dick. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about these computers, Malloy.
Okay, today we brought with us 3 of our Apple 2E. These computers are capable of doing a variety of functions for us. First, we can use them in our offices to do word processing and other tasks that would necessarily take a long time, such as mailing slips or mailing labels, anything like that. Also, we can use them in our classrooms for educational purposes. They can teach students how to use a keyboard as well as how to do math, improve math, and programming, which is our #1 feature of our computer systems. The third thing is our kids do use them for recreational purposes, but that is not our major purpose.
No, my kids use them for recreation probably more than any other purpose.
Also, besides having the Apples, we have the Burroughs mainframe, which we have hooked in 24 terminals for our adult ed use as well as our daytime use. Also, we have 12 IBM terminals, or terminals through the Burroughs terminals, which we can use for both adult ed and daytime students.
Okay. We can write our own programs, or we can use prepared programs then to run different kinds of programs. If,
Correct.
Students would learn how to possibly do a payroll program in the future, or inventory program that they could use when they were working for an employer.
Yes, and they are also capable of writing all these payroll programs, plus programs that would teach someone else something. They can write a program to teach somebody else how to program. For instance, they could teach the print statement, which actually makes words or letters appear on the screen.
Okay. I think now we're going to take a walk around to some of the other booths, and we'll take a look at what's available through some of the other exhibitors here at the Silverdome. Have here at another of the more unusual careers, I think, Veterinary Technology. And with us today we have
Gail Walls from Michigan State University.
and
Claudette Buckingham, Michigan State University.
why don't you tell us a little bit about your career field here?
Veterinary technology is a fairly new profession. Veterinary technicians function as assistants to veterinarians and other scientists, much like nurses.
I see you've got a friend draped around you here. Is this
This is Delilah.
Delilah?
Yes. Delilah is my South American common boa, about 7 foot long. She feels pretty good, doesn't she?
Interesting, to say the least. How long did it take you to get used to handling something like a snake, or have you been someone that's touched animals like this all your life?
Pretty much touched them all my life.
Well, thank you for showing us this exhibit. Have you had many people that's been coming through and talking today?
I think everyone who's been through here.
The thousands already. Thank you very much. Here at the Silverdome, representing some of the various automotive companies that are here today, and there's virtually, I think, the most of them here representing the industry. I have with me
Ken Faber.
from Ford Motor Company, and Ken, we have before us here a clay model car. Can you tell us a little bit about what this exhibit's supposed to represent?
Well, basically, it's we take a concept, we put that concept on paper, and the translation from paper to sheet metal, between that translation is clay. It's very easy to move in clay, change quickly, modify with inexpensive labor and material costs. So it's a perfect substance to work in and mold and change design short notice.
Okay.
We felt that this would be an interesting exhibit particularly for the students this morning, and we're pleased to tie in with several schools in the area, schools that we recruit from. So we think in terms of the purpose of this event, in terms of talking about careers of the future, here we have people who are actually manning our booth who have graduated from the institutions represented here in other parts of the floor.
Okay, very good. Perhaps you could tell us, what kind of careers would you foresee in the future for employees who'll be working with Ford Motor Company? What's the trend?
Well, I think there's an excitement, I think, all across the workforce. We have a new department at Ford called the Office of the Future. We see a dramatic change, for example, in that office, that relationship between boss and subordinate, between boss and clerical support staff, etc. A revolution is going on in the office place. Has nothing to do with science and technology in terms of people studying science and technology, but people upgrading their skills in word processing, typing, and shorthand can get into a field that just we feel has unlimited potential from an administrative standpoint. We, of course, are all hearing about the thrust in math and science, but here's something that a person can pick up in very short amount of time, a skill that would be extremely marketable, word processing.
Okay.
And I can take that on to, of course, robotics. Probably everyone expected me to say that. I wouldn't say that necessarily a Ford or GM or Chrysler is going to end up employing thousands of people servicing and maintaining robots, but certainly the introduction of robotics to the industry will dramatically change the work patterns and the 8 hours that people put in, whether it be an assembly plant or a spray booth or whatever the situation might be.
Okay, many people in the past have worked on the assembly lines in our community. I think the auto plants have provided one of the main sources of employment.
Yes.
What is the future of the assembly line worker at Ford? Should students that are graduating today look to that as a possible area of employment, do you think?
Well, I would hope that many of them would shoot a little bit higher than that. In pure numbers, the assembly line jobs are going down and going down dramatically. What will replace them, I guess, is a bit difficult to talk to, but certainly the automated equipment that will be placed in many of our plants, the electronics associated with that equipment, the maintenance of that equipment will demand a large workforce. But it will be a workforce that will be more skilled.
What kind of training would you recommend to, say, a high school student today who's taking classes if he wanted to be working in the automotive industry in 5 or 10 or 20 years? What kind of classes should he be looking at now in high school?
Well, I don't wish to suggest that there won't be a need for mechanics and technicians and people of that nature. But I would say, as educators and business people are saying right now, that any opportunity one has to take a science, a math course, and certainly a computer course, the better off. We publish information that suggests occupations that we have at Ford and the qualifiers for those occupations. And without question, science and math are the qualifiers for most of the jobs, whether it be as a service technician, a mechanic, or a full-fledged engineer.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today, Ken. I think people around are enjoying your booth immensely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye. One of the corporations that we have at the Career Expo today is TRW, and with me is
Dave Blank, Manufacturing Manager for Transportation Electronics Division.
Okay, Dave, what kind of careers are you speaking to the visitors here to the Expo today?
Well, I'll just kind of hang on to it. Sure. The kind of careers that we're talking about at TRW in our division are the careers that are listed on our on our marquee: production assembler, material control, manufacturing technician, engineering, sales and marketing, and field service representative. That doesn't mean we have openings in all those careers today, but then everybody doesn't need a job today. People need jobs tomorrow and in the future.
What kind of training would you recommend for students that are interested in career with TRW?
Well, of course, as manufacturing manager, we have a very formal skills training program. So we take people with no skills at all and teach them about the electronics industry to become production assemblers. We've been working with the Oakland school system, and in particular Farmington school system, to develop skills training manuals. And we therefore develop people, hire people with a caring attitude, and work with them, and they can develop with our corporation. Now, when you talk in terms of a manufacturing technician, we need to have people with electronics associate's degree. Basically, microprocessor-based products is what we have, and we definitely need to have a technical degree for that. Then when you start to move into our engineering discipline, of course, we're looking for people with an electronic engineering degree, hardware and software design, basically in the brand new field using microprocessor closed-loop control.
What kind of advice would you give a high school student as far as courses that they might take for kind of what you see as careers in the future? What kind of courses would you suggest they take as a high school student?
That's a good question. I think electronics and the word microprocessor, mini computer, software will provide billions of dollars of revenue for all the corporations across the United States. So I look at the emerging careers within electronics, even, of course, microprocessors control such brand new fields as robotics. The heart of it is a microprocessor chip. So I would say become intelligent with these little computers. Learn in school. We believe that that's the future.
Okay. We've got several of the microcomputers in our exhibit booth. In fact, we have large electronics and computer programs in our district, and I'm personally glad to hear you indicate that you feel that those are good areas for students to take. I strongly agree. Okay. I'd like to thank you for being here at Silverdome today. We enjoy your exhibit, and I'm sure the others walking around here have as well.
Thank you,
Dave.
so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're stopping here at the Fleet Ambulance exhibit, and we're going to be taking a look at another one of the health careers that we have available, emergency medicine. And with me is Mike Nutt. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about your service here and how you got into the work?
Fleet is another division of Paramed Incorporated, which manages and dispatches Fleet Suburban and Paramed Ambulance in Oakland County. We operate both advanced life support services and basic EMT services. What we've got here today is a paramedic unit in the state of Michigan, an advanced EMT, advanced emergency medical technician. That's the term for paramedic. What makes this different than a regular ambulance is that it carries the EKG monitor defibrillator, which is used for treating cardiac patients, the biophone that allows us to communicate with the hospital, and the drug box, which carries the drugs that allow us to stimulate the heart, change heart rates, raise and lower the blood pressure, take care of pain, and do other functions that we need to take care of. And this box carries the miscellaneous odds and ends that we need to evaluate and treat a patient. In order to discuss training, we have the two levels, as I stated, of care, the basic EMT level and the paramedic level of care. The basic level of care requires about 1 semester of training at one of the local colleges, Oakland Community College, Madonna College, Macomb Community College, or Lansing Community College. The next level of training is the EMT specialist, which is kind of halfway between EMT and paramedic. Programs covering that are LCC, Madonna, and OCC. Then the top level of care is the paramedic level of care, which is offered at OCC, Madonna, and LCC, and not currently at Macomb Community College. The basic EMT course is only about 1 semester long. Then you should have field experience, take anatomy and physiology, medical terminology, and pharmacology. Then you're prepared for the paramedic program, which will take another couple semesters. Altogether, with the courses and the clinicals and all, it takes about 2 years or a little bit more to become a full paramedic licensed in the state.
Do you like your work?
Love it. I've been in it for about 8.5 years, and Paramed is the largest provider of paramedic services in the state, so it gives me a good variety, and I enjoy it. It's great.
Have you noticed a change over the years in the level of technology that you've had to learn as far as how your job has changed in 8 years?
When I started out a few years back, I was working for a funeral home, earning $5 a call, working out of Cadillac ambulances and station wagons, and the increase in technology is amazing. Where we are now, we got basically to this level in about 1977, so in a stretch of about 3 or 4 years, it was just advancing on a daily basis. Now we're still adding new procedures and all, but basically the equipment that we have now is a little newer models and all, but basically what we had in 77. So things are starting to slow down a little bit, but we had a real stretch there that was incredible.
Do you anticipate many major changes in the next couple of years?
We're seeing more women moving into the field, and the pay is getting a little bit better. What we're seeing is a tremendous growth potential for paramedics, because nationwide the standard of care is basic EMT. Very few areas are covered by paramedics. Oakland County is very, very fortunate in this respect. There's only a few counties in Michigan that have this level of care. Oakland County is also very fortunate because the national average for ambulance response is about 42 minutes, and in Oakland County, 80% of the population can be reached by a paramedic unit in 8 minutes or less. So we're real fortunate. So as the rest of this country tries to increase their EMS system and tries to bring it up to paramedic level, you're going to see a number of openings for these paramedics, and of course that'll also mean a number of basic EMT openings, because they usually go through the progression. So as our EMTs become paramedics, you're going to see openings on the EMT level as people move through it.
Okay. If you were to give a recommendation to, say, a student in high school today, what kind of classes would you recommend that they take if they're thinking about getting into emergency medicine or medicine in general?
Pre-college curriculum, real heavily into the sciences, especially like biology, your anatomy and physiology courses, chemistry, things like that. Of course, pay attention to math, especially the metric system, since the medical system switched over to metric in about 65. Everything is metric, so pay attention.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you see much of a need for students to gain any knowledge or understanding of computers or electronic equipment?
Yeah, dispatch and billing and payroll and everything else is already on computers, and we're going to see more and more of that come in our dispatching, and probably going to see CRT screens in the units where dispatch will type on the information, dispatch information. It'll appear on a screen on the unit. We'll punch a button saying, you know, received and responding or whatever. Less and less voice communication and more computer transmission and printouts right in the unit.
Okay.
We'll be able to call up patient records eventually and everything right in the field, which will be nice. But that's at some point down the road. Of course, it's very expensive, and the technology is there, but until the price becomes reasonable, we won't have it.
How many people would man one of these units at a time?
2 paramedics. The state law requires only 1 paramedic per paramedic unit, but Oakland County regulation requires 2 paramedics per paramedic unit, and so that's, of course, what we run with. And we have 2 basic EMTs on our basic units. Also, it's a layered response system, so we respond with police and fire. The police department usually gets there first because they're dressed and up and patrolling, and they provide first aid level of care, advanced first aid level of care. The fire departments get there and provide basic EMT level of care and have more equipment, and they can, some areas are also paramedic, and then we can get there and provide full paramedic level of care.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank the people coming by. I've enjoyed your exhibit.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Also at the Silverdome today, we have the various armed services who are putting on exhibits and trying to get enlistees, I guess. And with me today, I have
Sergeant Stephanie Backus.
And Sergeant Stephanie is
United States Air Force. I'm a
United
recruiter in
States?
Pontiac.
Okay. Tell us about some of these young people we have behind us here. What are they?
We call them Deppers. They're all in the delayed enlistment program. They have a job reserved, and they are leaving at various times for the Air Force within the next year.
Okay. Rather unusual to be speaking to a female recruiter. What can you tell us about jobs that are available in the armed services for some of our females in the audience?
Well, there's very few jobs that are not there are very few jobs that are not open to women. Most of them are open. The only jobs that we cannot get into are combat-related jobs, and most jobs that that the Air Force have are not combat related.
Perhaps Sergeant Beckus, you can tell us about some of the educational opportunities that are available to people who go through armed services programs such as yours in the Air Force.
Basically, all of the educational programs are covered by the Department of Defense, so all the programs are covered by all services. We have a Veterans Educational Assistance Program for going to college after you get out of the service. It's a program where if you want to put anywhere from $25 to $100 a month into an educational fund while you're on active duty, the Veterans Administration will match that 2-for-1. You put in $100, they'll give you $200, and you'll have $300 a month to go to school when you get out of the service.
Okay, and if anyone wanted any further information, I assume they could probably stop into any of the recruiting offices in the area.
We have them throughout the United States and overseas.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, that we have here at the Silverdome are high-tech. With us today, we have
Nancy Ritter, Burger King Corporation.
And Nancy's going to tell us a little bit about some of the careers that are available through Burger King and maybe the fast food and other restaurant industries.
Okay. I'll first start off by saying that we're a wholly owned subsidiary of the Pillsbury Company, so there are opportunities that exist not only within Burger King, but also within some of the other subsidiaries of the Pillsbury Company. Some of those being Steak and Ale restaurants, Bennigan's, Haagen-Dazs ice cream, Green Giant. Those are just some of the other branches. My main purpose for being here today is to talk about employment opportunities that we have within our system, those primarily being, or at least starting out in the restaurant management area. We're always actively recruiting for restaurant management candidates to staff our 50 company units, which are located here in the metropolitan Detroit area. Our offices are based in Birmingham, and as I mentioned, my primary responsibility is to recruit and staff management positions for those restaurants. Some of the requirements that we like to look for in some of our prospective candidates are at least 2 years of college and or a year or so of supervisory experience. It's not to say that everybody that we see has a college degree or everyone necessarily has some management experience. I get a lot of people who are coming to me right out of college. Perhaps they've had no college, but they've been working for another fast food chain, or they've been in another type of business totally unrelated to the food service industry that has afforded them experiences in the management areas, the supervisory area. So certainly we're interested in talking to any and all people who are willing to work hard and grow with us.
I was just going to say, what's your one characteristic you're looking for in an employee that you're going to be interviewing?
Oh dear. I guess stability and really a desire to work hard and grow with us. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Great. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good to see you here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
One of the careers that we have here in the Silverdome today is with the food service. There's several individual companies that are here talking about careers within their company. But we have with us today
Paul Gaborio. I'm the Education Director of the Michigan Restaurant Association. I'm here to promote the interest in the food service business on the part of these students and unemployed people that are coming through. Part of our responsibility as an association is to build the image and the participation in the food service business and to try to encourage people, good students, to get into the business.
Okay, I've had quite a few through, I think, this morning, talking for a minute before, and you said they've been pouring by.
Oh, yes, and they're very interested in what these folks from the Detroit Club are doing here in terms of culinary arts. This is kind of the artistic end of the food business. The food business is very varied. It doesn't just involve this sort of thing, but these nice ladies have come in to help us show what can be done in terms of the artistic end of the food business.
Okay, if you were to be talking to a student, say a high school student today, what would you recommend that they take for classes if they're interested in getting into a career in food services?
Well, there are very many food service career institutions around the Oakland County area. There are vocational schools. There are 2-year courses in food service business. that will give you an associate degree in management, food and service management. Will get you in to start in the business. There's no substitute, of course, for working in the business. I think you have to work with good people and a good operation to really get the practical end of the business. And also, in this state, we have one of the top hotel and restaurant schools in the country, of course, in Michigan State.
Well, we enjoy having you here today, and I'm sure all the people passing through enjoyed seeing the exhibit. They've certainly put together some works of art out of apples, oranges, and carrots, and whatnot. So, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you for stopping by.
Also in the Silverdome today, we have some of our vocational schools in the county. With me right here is
Roberta Allen, Northwest Vocational School.
Okay. Roberta's representing, as she said, the Northwest Vocational. We have in our area of the county the Southeast, and we have within our own district some foods programs. What kind of things are your students doing here?
We're doing crepes, blueberry crepes, an omelet, a barbecue sauce with bite-sized Polish sausage, and small pizzas.
Well, I'm waiting in line here, and it's a good way to get cuts, I guess. Appreciate your time. The exhibit looks great. I have with me Bob Larson, who's the Director of Job Placement for Oakland County Schools. And Bob was the one that was responsible for putting together the Expo 83 here. I understand it was with a lot of volunteer help, but perhaps you can tell us how this occurred and why it occurred.
Well, we had about 70 volunteers, and they were all people that believed that it was important to put together a show that could give all of the resources for careers that were available. So what we've really done is taken all of the career clusters that there are, which underneath those career clusters fit certain types of jobs, and we've run the whole gamut of every kind of career there is and put together resources so people can come in and ask about those careers and find out what it takes to become involved in those careers. We feel that young people don't know enough about what's involved in a career, how to get into a career, what coursework to take. So we feel that it's important for them to know that.
Well, we've been around taking a look at some of the booths and exhibits that are here, and they sure give us a good variety of careers that are available throughout Oakland County, really, right now in this time, and also some that are going to be coming up in the future. I think you've done an excellent job in getting this together. How many people do you anticipate we're going to have through here now?
I hope we're going to have about 20,000 people. We've had about 10,000 kids just this morning.
I know it was hectic from 9 to noon, and it's tapered off a little now, but I suspect it'll be picking up.
They drove the hot dog stand wild.
I saw the lines, 50 deep. Well, thank you, Bob, and we appreciate you getting this together.
Thank you
very much.